What you're looking at right here are the brand new Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, a total redesign of the Galaxy Buds, and I have to say these are the best Galaxy Buds I have ever used. There's a lot that's different about these besides just the design, including some really incredible features on here like real-time translation, voice detect to turn my music down if I'm in a conversation, and other things like that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind and kind of talk about the elephant in the room being the complete redesign of Galaxy Buds. This looks so different than the Galaxy Buds 2, the 2 Pro, the older Galaxy Buds Pro, and this, I think, a lot of people are gonna say in the comments, kind of looks like a familiar design. It looks like a pair of earbuds that we may have seen out in the wild a little bit. But Samsung did a pretty good job, in my opinion, of adding their own flavor to this, making it their own design with a very geometric, what they're calling a blade. It kind of makes sense, it's very triangular. And this also has a really cool light on there. So you can see when you open this in the dark, it'll light up. Like, that seems pretty cool. Maybe just a little gimmick at first, but it's actually used for finding your earbuds as well. If you lose the earbuds, not only can you like play a sound and do the normal find my earbuds thing, but you can also have the light turn on. So if you drop them on a plane, it's loud obviously, the light could be a fantastic feature to help you find the earbuds underneath your seat. Now the earbuds have what Samsung is calling a blade, which is like what Apple would call a stem essentially. And if you're looking at this, this gives us a couple cool advantages, some new ways that Samsung's using this. For one, the controls are very different. Rather than capacitive touch sensors, which they work well, but if your hands are wet or you're wearing gloves or any non-ideal environment, capacitive touch breaks down very quickly. Now these instead are using a pinch. You're going to be pinching to control these, or you can slide with your thumb. Now the slide is capacitive, so if you're wearing gloves or if your hands are wet, then that won't work, but the pinching should still work there. The slider on here is actually pretty fantastic. It's very intuitive, so wearing these, I could just slide my finger up and down and control the volume very easily, and then the pinch controls are much like you'd expect. Within the app, you can customize this for like play, pause, open Bixby and stuff like that. Another really cool thing Samsung added to these are voice commands. So if you're going for a run or just doing anything, maybe cooking for example, and you don't want to use your hands to skip tracks or something, you can simply say, skip a track, or you can say, pause, play, whatever, and this is going to work without ever having to summon Bixby. So it's kind of cool you have these voice commands in here. Additionally, there is a little color band on the bottom right across the microphone, and that matches up with the case, so you'd never get mixed up which one's left and which one's right. I never found that I had any issue with that. It's very easy to place them in the case. It sits nicely. You close the case, you have a clear top. There are two different colors, by the way. There is a white color, as I have right here, and there is the silver color. The silver one looks more like Cybertruck earbuds kind of. I think it's a really cool design. It's not going to be for everybody, but looking at the case a little bit more, I do have some concerns about the top getting scratched up. We saw that with the Nothing earbuds. Clear cases tend to get scratches. So far, I have not scratched this one up, so it's doing pretty well. This does have wireless charging, of course. It charges by USB Type-C on the bottom, and the case sits upright or upside down. There are flat spots on the top and on the bottom, of course on the front and back as well, so you can really set it and lay it in basically any orientation you want. Looking a little bit more at the earbuds, these have, like I said, a more AirPod-like geometry, so if AirPods fit well in your ears, these are going to fit well in your ears. Comfort and fit, for me, are both fantastic. However, my left ear, and I have the same problem with most other earbuds that don't have a wingtip, I find that they work their way out of my ears, so I would love to see a third-party wingtip that I could buy and place on these, especially if I'm running, if your ears get even a little bit wet. It would be nice to have something to kind of secure it in my ears a little bit better. So if you're a third-party manufacturer, please DM me, make those, and I would love to buy a pair. Talking a little bit more about some other features these have, of course, one is the active noise cancellation, but within ANC, there's a new feature, adaptive ANC, which we see on a lot of earbuds out there. After really trying it with these, I am quite impressed. Like the ANC as its own does well, but in adaptive ANC, it's kind of like an invisible feature. I had to really question if it was actually working because inside in a quiet environment, it turns on your ambient mode, so you can really hear everything else around you. And then if you start walking, it'll kind of turn that down. As there's more sound around you, it'll go to a neutral profile. And then when you go outside in a louder environment, everything's much quieter. It's very, very quiet. ANC is essentially in full blast mode then. And I thought that was really quite impressive. But it goes even further. Then if you have something like a siren, an ambulance going by, it'll actually turn on aware mode so you can hear your surroundings. Typically when there's a siren, there's stuff going on that you want to be aware of. and you can, like, it automatically does that. So I thought that was all really well thought out and quite impressive in my opinion. And that's all great, but it really doesn't mean much unless you have good sound quality to match that, and these absolutely deliver on that front. These are the best sounding Galaxy Buds I've ever used. I think Samsung did a lot here to move in the right direction of giving you more premium sound for, you know, the price. These are like a pro model pair of earbuds. You would expect good sound. And these do a couple things. One, they have dual drivers. Two, they have dual amplifiers as well. So you're getting a planar tweeter and a dynamic woofer. So that's going to give you less distortion on the lows. You have plenty of very capable low end on these. I find that using the 9-band equalizer in the app really allows me to customize it exactly how I want. And the sound in general is just really quite nice. It's very consumer centric though. So out of the box, a lot of people won't want to change it at all, but it could be like a tad on the dark side out of the box. Again, the 9-band EQ does help to adjust that if you're really looking for details. Now, kind of zooming out on sound quality, I love taking a very analytical approach to it, but sometimes the best metric of how good it is just going to be what natural volume I use. So lower quality earbuds, I tend to like subconsciously turn the volume up because I'm looking for details in the song, whereas really high quality earbuds, I have a tendency to listen to them at very, very low volumes, like 25%, 20%, 15%. And these do a good job of that. So the balance does allow me to listen at very low volumes, and I'm able to hear all the details I would like. But another cool feature these have related to the sound quality is going to be the adaptive EQ, which means everybody has different shaped ears, and person to person, the EQ is going to adjust for, or really calibrate for your ear geometry to give you essentially a more ideal sounding audio profile. Of course, you can still use the EQ on the app and adjust it, but again, it's supposed to make it sound more natural as the artist intended when you're listening to the music. So for me, it seems to work quite well. Additionally, this has 3 different codecs you can use. So SBC and AAC are going to work on basically any device out there. And if you have a Samsung device, it will be using SSC, which is 24-bit, giving you up to 96 kilohertz, which is obviously very, very high resolution. I think higher than most people would even be able to hear.
All right, I found an issue with these. Unfortunately, if you're using them in a quiet environment and you have ANC on and you don't have music playing, there will be buzzing. There's a static noise coming from the earbuds. It's very unfortunate. It's a little bit frustrating. I hope they fix that with an update. But yeah, if you're not playing music, it's something you should be aware of.
But now let's actually get into a microphone test. Like I said, we're supposed to have a better microphone on here with a 16 kilohertz voice band, so much wider bandwidth for voices. And with this blade design here, the microphones are pointing down towards your mouth. They should be substantially better.
This is a microphone test outside on some busy streets in Paris during rush hour. And we're gonna see how these microphones actually perform. Right now I'm filming on my S24 Ultra using a 360 mic, so that's using both earbuds. We'll see how well this picks up my voice and if it even does block out anything around me.
All right, now this is a microphone test again, this time not using the 360 microphone on a video, instead just on a phone call, so we'll see how well this performs. Again, there's a lot of traffic around here, so this should be a pretty tough microphone test.
Now, one drawback I noticed with the transparency mode in particular, although I did also notice in the microphones on voice calls and stuff, was the wind. I think it's possibly because of the geometry of these, having sharper edges is just less aerodynamic, so the wind is going to kind of impact that a little bit more. I found that if I was walking down a hallway and I had the essentially adaptive ANC and it was kind of on the more transparency side of things, I'd get a lot of wind feedback through the earbuds. That's something that could easily be fixed in an update, but at least for now, that's something I did notice with these earbuds. Now, by the way, the price on these is $249. I believe there may be a pre-order offer. I'll have that linked down below. Now, what about the fundamentals of earbuds? I always kind of have a list of things I look for in earbuds. One of them is going to be wireless charging. Yes, these have wireless charging. Yes, these have mono mode, so you could just listen to one if you really wanted to. These do have water resistance, or IP57. Yes, these kind of have multi-point connectivity. Within Samsung devices, it'll switch very easily between them, but Samsung, again, kind of likes to keep you in their ecosystem, so it's not like if you have a MacBook and a Galaxy phone, you're not going to be using multi-point and switching between those two very seamlessly at all. Also, yes, these do have autoplay and auto pause. They know when you're in your ear or out. I find that fantastic if I'm listening to podcasts and I take them out. And most importantly, these do have some really cool features baked into them. I mentioned a couple earlier, but another one is the voice detect feature. So if I am working at my desk, I have my earbuds in, somebody comes over and says something to me, I can turn around and start talking talking to them, it'll turn my music way down. It doesn't pause it, it just turns it way down. It turns on your ambient or your aware mode so you can hear what you're saying, hear what they're saying, and then whenever you're done talking, it'll go back to full volume and ANC if you had that on, for example. And it's a cool feature. I find that it works very well. It does a good job. Unlike Sony earbuds, which can be a little bit too sensitive, this does a good job of rejecting a cough, for example, or like a slight mumble to yourself or something like that. But it does tend to stay on for quite a long time. Of course, you can always tap them to resume your music, but it seems to wait for a good 5 or even 10 seconds or so before turning the music back on. The ambient sound mode, the transparency, the aware, whatever you want to call it, does work surprisingly well. I find that everything sounds very natural. Nothing sounds compressed or robotic. My own voice doesn't sound as loud as I would like it to, but it does still sound quite natural to me. So I would say on the spectrum of how good is the transparency on these, it's probably not quite as good as Bose or AirPods, but it's really not far behind them. It's really quite competitive and a substantial step up for Samsung in this category. Okay, so kind of summarizing the pros and cons with these earbuds. The pros: we have really good sound quality on here. We have great active noise cancellation. We do have the ability to adjust your earbuds without having too many touch controls going on. We do, of course, have wireless charging, a great case, a lot that I really like about these, and a lot of those really cool features like the blade lights on here, the voice detect, the siren detect, the adaptive EQ, just a lot of really cool things baked into these earbuds. I do have a couple concerns though. One, as I mentioned before, I'm a little bit concerned that the clear part of the case may potentially get scratched up. A second concern being the wind noise. Maybe that is the geometry of these earbuds, or maybe that's just something that could be very easily updated with a software or firmware update on these earbuds. But probably the biggest concern for me, not really concern, but something I would love to see that feels like other earbuds in this price point are really adding that this one is not, is the finding feature. So yes, you can turn on the blade lights, and yes, you can make them chirp, or you can see where they're last connected, but you don't have any ultra wideband on the case. So I can't use the Samsung SmartThings app to like really narrow down exactly where it is as you would with the Smart Tag, for example, or as you can with the Apple AirPods Pro, for example. So it's something that I would have loved to see Samsung add to these.
And like I said, my fourth complaint is that buzzing, that static noise with the ANC when no music's playing.
So overall, my thoughts on the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. After using them for a little while now, I really like these. They're my favorite pair of Galaxy Buds by far. There are a couple minor concerns I had, but for the most part, especially at this price, I think these are pretty fantastic. It's a competitive price for sure, but these really deliver on a lot of the main points that I think matter a lot in a pair of earbuds. But if for some reason you don't like this design, maybe you don't like silicone tips, Samsung also has basically all the same value in their Buds 3, the non-Pro model. And that has no silicone tip, so it's an open ear design, and it's a lot cheaper than these as well. So I recommend checking that out if you haven't already. I did actually make a video about that. I'll put that right here. The Buds 3, I've had some time hands-on with both of them. And actually, while I'm on the topic, I'm releasing, I think, 6 or 7 videos at once. I'll put a playlist, I'll link a playlist down below, or maybe right here,